the Fulfillment Framework ebook on Gumroad and KDP, we're going to take the initial concept. It's what I'm going to call the rule of the parable. Now, if you've gone to school, you're going to hear something similar to divine authorship hermeneutic, but we're just going to reduce that concept down to the rule of the parable. So let's frame that thought so that we can be on the same page. The best source for explaining a parable is the one who gave the parable. A parable is not an independent story open to unlimited imagination. It is something cast alongside, the Greek parabolo, a reality in order to illuminate it. So there's a reality that is happening, and that parable comes alongside that reality so that we can see the parable and understand better that reality. So number one, a parable is given. The interpreter and the interpretation is going to be by the speaker. In Scripture, we repeatedly see this pattern. A parable is spoken, the hearers don't understand, and the disciples would even ask, what does this mean? You would think after a while they would get it. They don't get it. They always go up to him and say, what does this mean? Well, that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. And the speaker must explain it. This establishes a method. The meaning is not created by the listener. It is revealed by the author. We're going to hold on to that. We're going to hold on to that through the entire book, through the Fulfillment Framework. In fact, the entire book is built upon that principle. An example pattern is seen especially in the teachings of Yeshua that you call Jesus. Explain this parable to us. And he answered and gave the interpretation. Now notice the explanation is not speculation. It is the authoritative commentary. Number two, the human writers. You're going to hear this a lot. Remember, the book was written by humans, and then they want to drop the mic. We know that. There were human writers who were vehicles of the explanation. But let's note this. Note what one of the human authors said. Paul, what I received from the Lord, I also passed on to you. What is the source of Paul's letters? What he received from the Lord. John said, I heard a voice. So what was John's source? Speculation or hearing a voice? The prophets, the word of the Lord came to me. They were not presenting private insights. They were transmitting received revelation. They were hearing a conversation and wrote it down. So here's the chain. God, revelation, inspired messenger, written record. One more time. God is a source. He reveals it through conversation. He's speaking. There's an inspired messenger, a chosen messenger, and he writes it down. It is not man reflection religious literature. That's what we see most. Right? So somebody says, I'm going to read this verse and I'm going to think about it. And I'm going to tell you what it means. Now they're treating it like it's a riddle. And they're going to be the interpreter. And that's when we can fall into danger. So the scripture is going to treat this as something not to be discovered, but to be given. It's going to be grace to us. Number three, words in a parable are not locked to one meaning. A key interpretive safeguard is recognizing that symbols are contextual. Take the word seed. It does not carry a universal meaning. You're not going to go to Google and type in seed and pull up a definition and assume that's going to be the answer for all of this and everything you see in the parables. That would be a mistake. Yeshua is allowed to use the word the way he wants to use the word for the parable and the time and the audience that he's talking to. So we cannot just assign meaning arbitrarily or by assumption. We must let the scripture show how the symbol is being used there. This prevents what often happens in interpretation, forcing a symbol to mean the same thing everywhere. You've heard me say before, and we'll just allude to it now, the word cold. The love of most will grow cold. That's negative in that context. But most people take that negative context, see the word cold, throw it in a revelation, and they create a wrong interpretation. I wish you were either hot or cold. They remove the parallel. And then it is the hot and the cold that was good in comparison with the lukewarm, which is spewing out of the mouth. But they don't understand that. So they're going to tell you that God would rather have you walk away from them. That makes no sense. Number 5, the common thread. The unity is not literary, it is intentional. The same author who inspired the parable is the same author who's going to inspire the explanation. And later, we're going to see this in the apostolic teaching. So the interpretation is less like solving a puzzle. Let's get that in. And more like listening to the same speaker in multiple places. Here's a simple working principle that we're going to be using throughout the entire fulfillment framework. Don't ask what this could mean. Ask, where has a speaker already explained this? When you come across a passage that you don't understand, the first thing you do is look for other passages that explain this passage. Yes, it takes effort. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some know-how. But it'll be worth it. This is the last place we want to sit and guess. The shift is going to now move from interpretation from imagination to interpretation by reception.